Well, I've heard from our engineers we have 9 jets airborne from Bournemouth Airport. They're currently testing the smoke systems, trimming out the aircraft, and getting ready to start, hopefully, a full show here in Bournemouth. There are, of course, 3 shows that we can fly for you: the full show, the rolling, and the flat. Normally dictated by the weather conditions, but as it's so glorious here, I think Red One will be taking it full from the start. Well, it's a very significant year for the Royal Air Force this year. It's our 100th anniversary, having been formed as the world's first independent air force on the 1st of April 1918. There are many events going on up and down the country this year to commemorate the history of the Royal Air Force, to celebrate our continued contribution to defence and security, and to inspire the next generation. And inspiring the next generation is what the Red Arrows hope to do with our displays, inspiring those younger members of the audience to follow their dreams just like we did when we were their age. Well, it's about just over 30 seconds to go until the start of the display now. I haven't had problems with Red One yet, but I can hear my radio crackling into life. So, is everybody ready for the Red Arrows?
Did you hear when the parachute was they can hear you on the ground?
I didn't see parachutes. You didn't see the parachute? Oh my god. We might have been in the VR bus.
They will hear you from the ground, so after 3 o'clock, they give a cheer. 1, 2, 3, and they went, why did they not hear it?
Well, I have just spoken to Red One. They've had a slight delay out of Bournemouth Airport, so they're running approximately 1 minute late, which is most unlike Red One, but we cannot control everything. So,
First time I've known them to be late.
We know they're airborne. We know they are on their way. Let's get those vocal cords warmed up. Let's get those cameras ready. It's going to be a good one today. I can feel it in my bones.
It's very clear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stuff on.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is almost time. Get those cameras ready. Get those eyes looking skyward.
You ready?
Put your hands together for the 2018 RAF Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows! Red One leading us to formation over in battle with the red, white and blue smoke trailing behind. As the formation pulls up into the bright blue sky here in Bournemouth, they split between some short islands, the smoke going off at apex and 5,500 feet. As Short Diamond descends, Red One about to switch the formation to the right. Red One for 2018 is Squadron Leader Martin Perk. Martin is a former Harrier and Typhoon pilot. He's previously instructed on the Hawk, and he returns to the team as his first year as team leader. As Short Diamond apexes around to the right-hand side, it's time for the first of our formations, representing an RAF aircraft. Currently deployed on operations in the Middle East and defending the skies of the UK 24 hours a day, it is, of course, Typhoon. Upside down, Red One takes Typhoon, but platforms deeper against the rising sky. Right of Red One and Typhoon is instructor and display pilot, and he joins the team in his first year from the Typhoon force. using a very metronomic cadence and tempo to voice command the other pilots, reacting to his voice rather than what his aircraft's doing, which keeps those formations nice and tight with long straight lines. Well, the smoke has come back on. They are transitioning to the next of our aircraft formations. This is the 5th generation stealth aircraft capable of simultaneous air-to-air, air-to-ground and electronic warfare missions. Recently arrived in the UK on 617 Squadron, it is of course Lightning. And pulling up calls Red 1 as Lightning falls to the vertical, looping over the sea at 5,500 feet. On the right wing of Lightning is Red 4, Flight Lieutenant Christopher Smith. With the former Tornado GR4 pilot and Hawk instructor, he previously served on the Red Arrow and returned to the team in his 2nd year. Today, he'd like to say hello to Susan on behalf of Red 5. Red 1 twisting the formation to the left. This is Lightning. As Lightning moves off to our right-hand side, smoke comes back on Red 8 and 9. Red 6 and 7 will tuck in behind in this technically difficult formation for the pilots to fly. 6 aircraft all flying next to each other in line abreast. This is Phoenix. On the left of Red 1 in Phoenix is Red 3 Squadron Leader Mike Ling. Mike has formerly served as a team pilot. He then did 6 years as Red 10 and as Diamond comes towards us, the nose lights will come on to us. The formation will roll out. Red 1 will ease them up with the smoke on, ready for the Diamond roll. Upside down goes the Diamond at 2,500 feet. On the left wing of Diamond is Red 5, Flight Lieutenant Dan Lowe. Dan is a former Typhoon pilot and rocket instructor, and he's on his 7 years of experience. As Diamond moves off to our left-hand side, it is time for one of the crowd's favourites, and definitely my favourite of the display. This is a manoeuvre that replicates the combat aircraft about to leave service, having served on the front line for over 3 decades. It is, of course, Tornado. Reds 8 and 9 moving to the back of the formation. Red 1 bending the aircraft around to the left. The air brakes will come out, the smoke will come on. 8-9 roll go will be the call from Red 1. Some of you heard it yesterday. I know Red 9's excited again. Let's hear how loud he calls aboard the Tornado. Unbelievable. Red 9 calling aboard as 8 and 9 put the red and blue smoke on, rolling around the rest of the formation. Red 1 about to bank the formation to the left, changing smoke colour as they go. This is Tornado. off go, whispers red line. At the end of Tornado means we're almost at the end of the first half of our display. So far we've had all 9 aircraft in tight formation aerobatics, graceful shapes across the sky. Well, as we enter the second half, we're about to step it up a gear, we're about to up the tempo. Red One has called the aircraft into Phoenix, which means he's going to start the second half full. Formation will break down into 2 sections. Section of 5 nicknamed Enid and a section of 4 nicknamed Jippo. Enid named after Enid Blyton's famous 5 and Jippo after the surname of the leader of the first section. I mentioned earlier it's the centenary of the Royal Air Force. Well, the first of our big splits of the display is to commemorate those 100 years. It's time for the centenary split. And pulling up calls Red One as the 7 jets pull to the vertical. The synchro pair 6 and 7 staying low. It's the centenary split. On the right we have 7 and 9. Here they come with a closing speed of over 700 miles an hour, descending to 100 feet. It's time for the spectacular Jip Over. Here comes Red Line from the left with a smoke on. Now look to the right, pushing Enid. Those forward is Red Line in the middle. It's Red Line pulling up with his patriotic red light on his nose as Red Line Red One puts the white smoke on the left-hand side to make way for synchro. Now let's look out straight ahead, see if you can find the nose lights of 6 and 7. Here they come up, which means it's time for the heart. Over the top goes Jip and 7 the white smoke on. Here comes Red 8 from the top right. He's going to steer the heart. Here in the heart was Red 8, right into the back masters. That's the Bournemouth Tornado F3 pilot and Tucano instructor. He's in his 3rd and final year on the team. Well, here come the synchro pair again from the left and the right. The smoke is on. Again, a closing speed of over 700 miles an hour. They're about to cross in front of us before the colour comes on for the opposition barrel. Former Tornado GR4 pilot and Hawk T2 instructor, he's in his second year on the team. Now look out to the front left, here come the rest of the formation, red one. He's about to twist them around to the right before pulling over the top in the vertical brake. Brake, go, course red one in the vertical brake. Let's look left and right again for 6 and 7, the synchro pair. As they come towards each other, they're going to barrel roll in front of us, then cross 3 times in a tight 360-degree circle in the circus.
It's annoying that.
Coming around again.
Clear the way for Enid. Now look out to the front right. Here they come, the white smoke is on. Enid pulling up, about to change the colour. They're going to roll twice in a snake-like pattern across the sky in the Python. Well, the Red Arrows today would like to send their best wishes to Trevor, who's in Hereford Hospital recovering from a stroke. All the best to you, Trevor. From second of the Python rolls, I would like to say hello to Jeff Kennedy, who was one of my flying instructors 20 years ago, who's here in the crowd today. As Red One completes the second of the Python rolls, the smoke is about to go off to make way for Jippo. Now everybody look to the right, here they come, it's Jippo, red 6 and 7 about to roll inverted, red 8 and 9 about to roll around them. This is the corkscrew.
Well, they said, oh yeah, that was close.
Please, whispers red 9 once again, as Jippo roll out red 1, leading them off to the right-hand side. Let's look out for the nose lights of Enid. The left of the formation about to roll to the outside, changing smoke colour as they go. It's the rollbacks. Roll go calls red 1, 2 and 3 signal to roll. Clear go, 4 and 5 signal to roll. Calls red 5. As the rollback's finished to our right hand side, the white smoke comes on. Ian is banking to the left. Now let's look straight ahead. Here they come. It's Jippo again. 8 and 9 about to roll around the formation. 6 and 7 about to roll in the Jippo break.
What the hell was that then?
Here they go, pulling up, about to bank around. They're on the closing speed again of over 700 miles an hour. Red 6 will roll inverted, red 7 the right way round, and they'll switch as they cross in front of us in the vice versa. Here comes 6 from the left, about to roll. Now let's look straight ahead. Let's see if we can pick out the nose lights of the rest of the formation. Red 8 and 9 join in, the smoke comes on, ready for the Vixen break.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the Red Nose! Red 6 and 7 coming in from the left and right hand side. Well, I've just heard from Red 1 that might not be the end of the display. Well, Red 1 is joining up with 5 of the other aircraft. Red 6, 8 and 9 are staying separate, ready for one last fly past. Some of you may have seen this yesterday, but we have a special treat in store. To commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Royal Air Force in this very special year, the Red Arrows have a very special flight path planned. Red 6, 8 and 9 about to come in from our right hand side. They're going to put the smoke on and pull up to draw a number 100 in the sky, whilst Red 1 and the rest of the aircraft underline it in red, white and blue. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Centenary Pass. And pulling up. Letting it up, roll it up. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Red Arrow! goes! Red one moves off to the paddock, all 9 aircraft together, because that really is the end of the show this time. He'll lead the aircraft back to Bournemouth, where they'll land, and our engineers, known as the Blues, will refuel the jets, service them, re-smoke them, getting ready for tomorrow's display. If you'd like to find out more about the team, you can of course see us on the website, and you can follow us online through Twitter, Instagram or Facebook. I hope you've enjoyed our display today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening to me, and most importantly, thank you for all your support for the British Armed Forces. All that remains for me to say is to wish you all the very best from the Royal Air Force and from all of us at the Red Arrows.
Well, Adam, that was absolutely fantastic, a real pleasure. For me, particularly poignant, and I think it's absolutely brilliant for those ex-members of the Royal Air Force for you to see that beautifully executed, colourful finale, the RAF 100. I think absolutely beautiful to see in the 100th anniversary year. It's been a pleasure of mine to have been flown down a few Pall Mall fly paths, but this year it's my honour to be actually underneath watching the fly paths with my children, and it really was a beautiful thing, especially to see the Red Arrows down to Pall Mall, as well as all my colleagues that have flown all the other jets. A huge fly past, fantastic to see, and a great finish for the Red Arrows display here today. Thank you very much, Adam.
Yeah, and we've got to thank the World Fuel Services. Thank you very much indeed. Of course, without all these sponsors, we really wouldn't have much of an air show. So we very much appreciate that. Well, I think it's just a couple of minutes to go. Just to give you a flavour of the sort of things coming your way. I have just met Alexandre, and he is just the most delightful young man. And you can see him. Alexandra, if you just come here, I just want to introduce you to my friends around Bournemouth. Just sit down here and you wave at the crate. This is Alexandre. He's come all the way from Dijon in France, and he's going to tell you all about the Brighton Jet team later on this afternoon. Okay, you go prepare yourself. You've just got to put a bit of makeup on and stuff like that. You imagine what's got to get. Yeah, these French guys, you know, you've got to be really careful with them. But anyway, that's going to happen at about 5 o'clock this afternoon. Yeah, I bet most of you have never seen the Brighton Jet. They are super. I know you love the Red Arrows, so do I, but actually it's great to see a little bit of different sort of ideas and also completely different aircraft as well. So, just to give you a feel on it, we've got G-Wiz, and of course that is this magnificent muscle biplane. It comes with Richard Goodwin. He's done all sorts of modifications to it. He's got a massive 8.5-litre engine, 300 horsepower on the front end of a very lightweight aircraft. So you can imagine he hovers around just like the Gravity Industries Jetman does. After that, we've got Dakota from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, one of the most famous, really, logistics and cargo and parachuting aircraft that's ever flown in the last 100 years or so. Then we've got a pair of fighters, and the BDNF has confirmed that they've got a Hurricane in service for today, so we'll see both a Spitfire and a Hurricane. And I know many veterans that are with us today will love that. After that, the memorable and poignant Sally B, of course, the B-17. That'll be followed by a pair of Strike Masters this time. That's two top-end GTI versions of the Jeff Roberts Mark V. Both in interesting colours, quite a story behind those two. Hashtag Blade Slap, of course, Chinook heading your way. Always, I know, loved and welcomed by everybody around the coast in Brighton. But just to remember that, of course, we only have a short gap there, from 7 o'clock right through until 10 o'clock this evening, night air. We've got a return of explosions of fireworks in the sky. And then, of course, the massive big fireworks display at 10 o'clock tonight and Saturday night as well. The band in between the gap there is the Stevie Wonder Band tonight. And certainly there was a great crowd at the stage last night for the UK Bee Gees. I walked the whole site, fabulous atmosphere right throughout the whole band. And a lot of partying and a lot of people chilling out on the beach as well. Really, really exciting. So make the most of all that. Of course, there is in the Valley Gardens, there's unarmed combat and all sorts of other exhibitions. I know there's stuff for the children going on. And of course, those sort of things, the unarmed combat, by the way, is at 6:30. The incredible face painting activity at 6 o'clock. James Jigsaw Now, there's going to be stilt walking, so if you ever manage to do that, definitely don't have a drink before you try. We're doing magic shows as well at 7:15 and circus workshops as well, a little bit later on. The Simon Training Fire performance is at 8 and 9 o'clock, and the bird display also at 6 o'clock as well. So a huge amount to be going on with. Do make the most of all of that, won't you? I'm just going to slip an earphone off now and see if I can hear the next. You can see how much goes on in this workshop of ours. There's all sorts of planning meetings going on behind us, and I think G Wiz is about to check in. I see him, I don't see him at the moment. It's a formation pair of seagulls actually that just caught my eye there, but he will be coming in very, very shortly, and he's just going through his checks now, so if we can just get a bit of calm going in our workshop here, and we will be back. Yeah, it's the French, you know, it's the French. Right, I'm not going to say anything about Brexit, but please welcome Richard Goodwin. Tell you all about that. Here's my wingman, Andy.
Right, much like the former fighter pilot, the German fighter pilot, diving out of the sun is Rich Goodwin. High in the sky, high above us, up to the high to right-hand side, right up in the sun actually. So be careful, those gents. I can barely see a thing, but I can hear it. And that's always good news. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Right high above us now. Huge high-speed, spiralling, rotating descent back down towards us here at Bournemouth Air Festival. One-man arrival for the Rich Goodwin Mid-SQS. Over himself, or seemingly so, and thank you, Rich Goodwin, aerobatic pilot and champion engine right, throwing the aircraft maneuvers around the cockpit, throwing the cockpit control column, around the cockpit to get the aircraft to seemingly fly out of control, but each time just catching it, throwing it around and flying this maneuvers. Now holding that into that little power slide there, we'll see more of that later. Flick turn, twisting, descending spin. And then running back from our left-hand side. He's waving at you, quick wave before he falls up, now they're death-defying stunt. They're pushing out now, you see the aircraft now seemingly sliding around the side, that's Richard using the full power of the rudder. Aircraft just ruddering the aircraft around in that turn. The engine just keeping it nice and level there as it keeps the aircraft inverted, flying up and down, steering that negative G, pushing now the turn. Blood now being forced into his head. Very much to him, Richard with blood. His father was a fast jet pilot with the Royal Air Force, and he also was a fast jet pilot at the Air Force, joining the RAF and eventually flying the Tornado GR1. He's done incredible amount of flying with his family. He flew the Hawk and then flew with 9 squadron on the Tornado. Flew 21 of his string during Gulf War I. But now enjoy also Sunday morning today for working master, flying for QE and carrying aircraft for the weekend is in a bit of an aerobatic animal as he flies and performs his aircraft all over UK and Europe. First interest in aircraft came through a bit of home building, obviously a bit bored in retirement, having left the military. Started building and repairing his own aircraft. And here he actually built and modified his very own aircraft here. Now we're going to see a power controlled, almost hovering the aircraft on the power of the engine. Power of that engine there. Very, very powerful. Well, the aircraft is only 700 kilos, but the aircraft engine, 8.5 litre engine, capable of producing over 300 horsepower. Hovering on that power, holding it on the top. Just modulation of power of that throttle there. Quick first to just show how much turbulence is the airflow disturbs over the aircraft, blown apart by the power of that propeller engine. The aircraft is well capable plus 60 and pushing minus 5 G, minus G or negative G, quickly you feel when you pop over a humpback bridge on the road. G is experiencing minus 5, and at the moment for him, when he's in slow speed, that negative G is fairly slow onset and only for a short space of time. So incredibly powerful feeling, positive G is when all that blood is poured down the body, into the effort. Another high speed car, the aircraft capable of some 200 miles an hour. The aircraft really, the Pitt S2S, designed and built back in the 60s, specifically for air shows and aerobatic competitions. Strength on the top flat structure of the wings, the top bottom wings connected by diagonal steel wires and rods to give it the rigidity it needs to get ultimate performance out of this aircraft. This is British engineering skills mentally, done his own modifications, including new lightweight titanium landing gear to reduce the weight, a new shaped cowling to get in the extra power of the bigger engine, and guide dynamic cold induction system and airflow performance fueling system. Basically, a better engine. So I left again now. Might be surprised that actually Richard only took up this unlimited level of aerobatics at a relatively late age of 50, whilst we try and inspire the younger generation. I would like to inspire a slightly older generation to think it's never too late if you want to be an unlimited aerobatic pilot. Richard started just before he was 50. Unlimited now. Make the aircraft really sing. Of course, does work very hard for the physicality side of this. Certainly, speak to any aerobatic pilot, certainly the limited division, which is the top division of aerobatics. They do work very hard on their physical training. Again, a lot of G straining. You're straining against the G, you're pulling the controls. You need a fair amount of physical strength, pure strength, a little bit of cardio fitness, just for the endurance aspects, the stamina required to fly. It's quite a long display, flowing under these G forces. 1 G is gravity, that's what we feel. At the 60 that he's feeling, during those maneuvers, his body weight is 6 times his body weight. Looks like he's setting up another high-speed diving spin. Here he is, tipping in now. Getting quicker, hitting engine note of that rising. More twists and spins. Diving 200 miles an hour. Pulling neatly into vertical, tumbling over himself as he parks the control column in the top left-hand corner, flicking it left, aircraft tumbles over into that power slide, holding the power, the weight of the aircraft and the power of the engine. And somehow keeping it revolving with what remaining airflow he does have over the control surfaces. Colin Harris is engineer who's certified as aircraft. So one person does the work, Richard does most of his own work, and loves the engineering aspects and thinks to design his own aeroplane. This aircraft, very different to the modified, maximum capability actually. With Echo. Echo Whiskey Zulu is the registration. now filling up the version again. Richard's also got running project with his colleague designer, Eddie Sanderman. They're looking to develop a jet engine powered tip version. So similar to this aircraft you see here with the propeller at the front. And we're going to jet engine either side. An Eddie design project, certainly in aviation. I'm sure you saw the graphic line earlier. Weight and power are critical. So these small jet engines only weigh about 40 kilos. So they generate some 300 horsepower each. So the propeller engine to fly the aircraft eventually fire the jet engine do some amazing, incredible, powerful maneuvers. It's not all about speed, it's about grace and power. What riches to get out of the aircraft. There's another big wave. Quick flip roll, top of the loop. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's Richard. They're just calling in with the radios now. Just standing over 8 for starters. What we've got now is Richard's last pass. And what he's going to do is do a knife edge pass. So holding the power of the engine, weight of the aircraft and the power of the engine. He's going to slide the aircraft sideways, looking back over his shoulder at you, at the crowd on the beach. So ladies and gentlemen, to your right-hand side, running in for the last pass. Get everything ready. Get ready for a big wave, a big Bournemouth. Hello and goodbye, and thank you, Richard. You're within the pits, S2S. Ladies and gentlemen, from your right, all the way down the beach, wave, Mexican wave if you can, all the way down to down the beach. Rich Goodwin in the pits, G-Wiz S2S. We saw there, Rich Goodman there in the pit S2S, registration G-Wiz, fantastic name, fantastic registration, but an absolutely awesome display. It's actually quite hard commentating on a display such as that. And God knows what Richard is feeling after that spectacular display that he flew for us this afternoon.
And thank you very much to Andy for leading us through that. Of course, luckily and most thankfully, G-Wiz brought to us by Wave 105, who, even from where I'm sitting, have been pumping out some amazing music all afternoon themselves as well, with their own musical display down on the beach. So thank you guys. I just hope you've lined up the cocktails for us at the end of the day, because we get very thirsty up here, chatting away to all this action in the sky. Well, I hear the next set of aircraft checking in already, which is marvellous news, because it's a real privilege to see these guys. They've been working so hard to get a dynamic and consistent display together, and I take my hat off to all of them under the guidance of Simon Shirley, known as Sid to his mates, to bring this Team Reagan display to you here today, and it's just perfect weather for them. And they're really neat aircraft. You enjoy seeing them. They're, again, another form of kit-produced aircraft. They're called RVs, and they're out of the Vans Creative Factory. It's a mixture of one RV4, and the others are RV8s. They're all self-built aircraft, of course, but only a couple have been built by the team themselves. They're based out of aluminium construction, essentially. They use a standard Lyconium 360, 180 horsepower engine, so just over half of what Richard Goodwin was using. But again, these are pretty good when coupled to the propellers they have on them, constant speed propellers. They're lightweight, so it gives a very, very good power to weight ratio. So I hear them checking in with each other, and that is Sid, the leader, of course, and we've learnt a lot about pairs formation flying and how they have to live in each other's head. Well, when you're needing more than two, of course, it all gets a bit more complicated. You have to think about the entire wingspan and breadth of a formation, from wingtip of one man right across the wingtip of the man on the outside. And as you go through manoeuvres, this guy at the front actually has a relatively comfortable time because, of course, he's leading it, but it's very important that he makes sure he gets the speed and the power constant, and he, of course, flies the right lines that they're expecting to fly. Well, that is what he's doing. And, of course, here they come now. You're feeling, if you look up high on the right-hand side, they will put the smoke on very, very shortly indeed, to welcome and come straight into their first secondary 11 show Coming from Team Raven 2018. Already you can see just what a professional approach that is, with the aircraft absolutely beautifully and evenly spread and looking magnificent on this beautiful, beautiful bay and scenery we have in front of us. They're fully aerobatic aircraft. They've got a really good G limit range from plus to minus, and they're absolutely ideal for this very stable and delightful balletic display which Simon has put together for us here this year. They're also relatively quick aircraft. They're good for touring and they're very attractive for private ownership, and a real delight to fly as well. A nice roomy cabin and plenty of room for the tea biscuits and your overnight bag as well. Coming back now, here's the under pass. The leader, Sid, he's an RAF squadron leader himself. He's got extensive aviation experience in the Hawk and the Tornado F3. He instructs on the Grub Tutor. He's got over 4,000 hours and been leading the team since its creation. Now you'll see that Raven 5 has broken away from the team, and he'll be coming in to do a few of his own individual aerobatic manoeuvres, whilst the main formation on the right-hand side reforms into a different formation to come back to their next manoeuvre. And again, you see the very graceful lines and the real sort of, it looks very full, but it takes a lot of work to make things look as simple as this, but it's not. And keep your eyes peeled now as the main formation comes in for the Stinger barrel roll. As they pull up, this is where the wingmen are working harder than the leader, because of course they have to create this impression of going around the outside of a massive, great old oak barrel. While they go through this 360-year-old, the aircraft are actually only 8 feet apart. Alongside Sid, Raven 2 is Stephen Lloyd, but coming in once again to pull up the gap in the middle. Mark Sub is Raven 5. He flew operationally on Nimrods many years ago, and also flew the GR1 Tornado. Instructor on the JP, but is now captain from Raven airline. Originally, but now on the 75 and 767. Meanwhile, looking over to your left, you'll see the Raven 1, 2, 3 and 4 have got back into a box formation. And running around, I was about to mention Stephen Lloyd is performing the Cyclone. Let's just see how many we can get in, shall we? He's a businessman who lends his business a bit around his flying. He's got around about 1,500 hours now, and the first team member to build his own RV8 and convince the rest of the team to do the same. Now, while they go out, you'll see a slight change of formation. And at the same time, Raven 5 chasing down the team to slot back in. On the other side of Sid is Barry Gwinnett. He flew with Raven 2 in another display team many years ago. Many hours spent flying out of farm strips, and also on his days off runs his own engineering company. I'm told he's the epitome of calm within the team. Keep your eyes peeled now, straight out in front of you. As the team come in for a super winger, followed by a bomber. Listen in. delightful photographic of it. So keep your eyes peeled now on 4 and 5 as they position what we call a half Cuban and then a crossing fleet. And there you can hear them calling in the background, synchronizing the movements as one calls the other. The pilots were looking actually right behind them over their shoulders to capture the horizon. They put in a twist, and that's a half Cuban coming by now for an exciting crossing over at Crowd Centre. And on that command, they put in a little roll, very gracefully out. Fully pulling up. And a little twisting on that command. And that little twist basically completes what we call a quarter throw. And you imagine if they do that a few more times, then you get the whole thing. But look at that whole loop coming in now. This is Ravens 4 5 into their battle loop. Okay, they pull up, they'll be looking left and right across each other to make sure they're in the same position. And now looking over the back of their shoulders as well to capture the horizon as they come back out. So that's them braking. Keep your eyes peeled now right out to the very front of the rest of the formation, the three led by Sid. Straight in at you for a great camera opportunity. You can hear the commands coming in thick and fast for the cross break. It does get more exciting than that. Absolutely superb stuff indeed. Again, the smoke coming on, that helps to assist as a safety mechanism so they can all reformate. And we have another exciting maneuver coming up very shortly, the double barrel roll. Here's the roll coming in now. Second pilot working hard to maintain exactly the same position. The first pilot has to get the line right and has to get the power right. You might recognise that voice, Dr. Williams. He's got a lot of flying experience now. Also flew in with others in Team Viper, but he's flown displayed strike markers, hunters, vampires, venoms, 29 and the 39. And he's the only team member that admits to being a helicopter qualified. Not bad at rugby either, but keep your eyes peeled now as the rest of the team pull up for the three-ship stall pair. And there they almost run out of airspeed at the top of that. And they're perfectly synchronized, falling back to the ocean. They may head out. Now here, another super opportunity that I'm personally going to dedicate to all the lovely ladies in the Bournemouth Tourism team. They're working hard down the way in their little cabin there, very hot, but they're pumping out all the information that you need to have a great day on Twitter and Facebook. Putting up now for the Raven Heart. And I think you'll be absolutely perfectly well constructed as well. I've got to say that compares well with the best. And you notice it's also flown slightly obliquely, which is a really neat way to do a harp as well. Well, now here's a bit of a chase coming up next, because all the team have to find a way to get back into formation. But first up, coming from the right, Sid leading the three-ship in, the really super. And he pulls out. And I think you'll agree, absolutely superb. So again, in great harmony, carving beautiful shape in the sky. It's now when they have to work really hard to get this fighter back in good order with the right spacing and the right speed to come in what is a difficult moment, but it is again a very effective moment as they come back in from your left hand side. So you'll see that we've almost got 4 in together. The Raven 5 there doing his best, chasing down, going at max chaff because he's got to get in position. If he can't, then they are unable to do the next manoeuvre. So very demanding part of their display sequence. He fights his way to get back in, and is he going to make it in time? He's working really, really hard. Stand by, because coming up next is the Twizzle. And I think you'll agree, absolutely delightful stuff. Well, it's now the final manoeuvre, very sadly, and they won't be doing a fly past, but they will be doing a very, very delightful final manoeuvre for you. They're just forming back now into their traditional trademark delta, and their last manoeuvre, another photographic opportunity, the fan break. And we've got a special message for this part of the display because I understand that Sid is very much involved in nurturing young talent to get into aviation. And we'd like to dedicate this final manoeuvre now to Luke, who's just 10 years old, but has got a fantastic career ahead of him in aviation, helped by Team Raven. You heard the break. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been seeing the 2018 display from Team Raven. Put your hands together and I will pass on your compliments. An outstanding display indeed. And very, very accomplished teamwork. And I think you'll have to agree, they are just going to get better and better as the years go by. Really, really superb stuff indeed. Woo! Well, we're just having a lot of fun here, and everything going pretty much on time. I can't believe I looked at the schedule. It says they will finish at 15:58, and we're about 5 seconds over. So we've got a great show on the road, which means that in a couple of minutes' time, it's an opportunity to reflect back for a few moments on some commemorative and memorial flying. And that means it's come all the way from Coningsby in Lincolnshire, and it's the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. And we will therefore pause for a moment. We're going to see one venerable aircraft first of all, it's called a Dakota, and then we're going to see a fighter jet. But I'm not going to talk about that. I've got a special guest with me today. Tell you all about that. It's another Andy. Andy, welcome. Good afternoon.
Thank you, George. Nice there. Nice weather here in Bournemouth tonight. We're getting ready for the Douglas C-47 Dakota. For the second time this year here in Bournemouth. The C-47 Dakota was developed from the hugely influential civilian Douglas DC-3 airliner, which first took flight in 1936. Now, as a civilian airline, it had a cruising speed of 207 miles an hour, capacity for 6,000 pounds of cargo, or 28 passengers, and a range of 1,500 miles. It's easy to see why it played such an important role in the military version of the C-47. Now here we are, ladies and gentlemen, just out over to the east from our left-hand side. So looking out along over Boston here, we can see the inimitable markings of the Dakota C-47 Skytrain. Just on our left-hand side now, running in from Boston. A wonderful olive drab colour. D-Day markings, the black and white stripes, they actually really worked at helping us see the aircraft, and indeed it gave the aircraft visibility on the D-Day boosters. So here from our left-hand side, the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, Dakota boosters. Over 10,000 C-47 Dakotas were built in total, known of course by the name Skytrain by the American Air Force, and the Dakota with the RAF and the Commonwealth nations. Beautiful aircraft, those large wings of course and the powerful engines helping it lift 6,000 pounds of cargo, or 28 passengers or paratroopers. About 2,000 C-47s entered service with the RAF and were given the name Dakota, with a crew of 4, a pilot, co-pilot, navigator and radio operator. And the C-47 played a vital role in many Allied campaigns during World War II, including in New Guinea and Burma, making it possible for the Allied troops to counter the mobility of the fast-moving Japanese army. Closer to home, of course, the C-47 Dakota, used in vast numbers in the later stages of the war in Europe, particularly to tow glidders and drop paratroopers into enemy lines. During the invasion of Sicily, C-47s dropped over 4,000 Allied paratroopers into action. And the C-47, of course, playing a pivotal role in D-Day, June 1944, and the following Normandy invasion. As we look at this aircraft now, it's important to remember that in the first few days of Operation Overlord, C-47 Dakotas dropped over 50,000 paratroopers into France, often behind German lines, and taking key bridges and routes back under Allied control. Those very recognisable markings. The aircraft flying for you today was built in 1942 in California and had been in service with the Royal Canadian Air Force and the Royal Aircraft Establishment before being adopted by Strike Command and issued to the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight in March 1993. Fully restored in 2004 back to her original wartime paratrooper dropping configuration. This included an original and authentic floor being replaced and the interior being fitted out to that original spec. And now coming back for what is known, hopefully, as a dirty path. Now, as part of the process of restoring and refitting this particular aircraft, the names of the people that worked on the Dakota back in World War II were found inscribed by hand on the fuselage inside. And so these have also been preserved. There we are. Flown for you today by Flight Lieutenant Paul Early-Wise. And in his day job, he is a Dakota and a Hercules examiner with RAF. Important to remember there are no other multi-engine tail-wheel aircraft in the RAF service outside the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. The Dakota, therefore, is an important training asset used for initial training of aircrew for the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. Multi-engine aircraft and also for renewing the currency of the flight's Lancaster pilots each and every year. Back across this beautiful vista of the bay here on Bournemouth Beach, let's just take a moment to look at this unsung workhorse of World War II. aircraft painted today for you to represent a Dakota from the 233 Squadron from around the D-Day period in 1944. Those with a very good camera will have noticed there's a name on the side of the aircraft at the front. It's nicknamed She Wishabicken by her crew, which means stop complaining. She was involved in paratrooper operations on the eve of D-Day and subsequently in the resupply and casualty evacuation missions into and out of the forward airfields in the combat days of the front. And that's it. Let's wave goodbye to the C-47, the Dakota.
Supremely well, thank you very much for that very informative commentary, Andy. Interesting enough, of course, Dak, you may not recall why we call it a Dak, and it's very, very simple. It's the Douglas Aircraft Corporation. And a lot of people forget just how far that goes back in history. And so many people got rich on the back of it as well. Things like Berlin Airlift. I think you're almost old enough to remember Freddie Lake, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, no, well, I'm the senior service, so I'm the senior member, if not the service man. Anyway, it's absolutely extraordinary, and I think you've captured that perfectly in its importance and the role, and you're right, unsung heroes, but my word, they did a great job.
A fantastic event taking place next year in Normandy. It's called DAX over Normandy. There's 32 that are going to leave from Duxford to commemorate that trip and fly over to Normandy, and people are going to jump, paratroopers are going to jump as well. So you can find information on that online. DAX over Normandy. That's going to be a fantastic
You've become Mr. Fax of the South Coast, haven't you? I mean, extraordinary stuff.
Well, it's a wonderful aircraft.
Well, look, I've got to stop that because I hear fighters coming in, also from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. Now we're going to wrap up or ramp it up, I should say, the action a little bit. I hear that somebody's called signing Tony, because from the left-hand side, please welcome the fighter pair, Spitfire and Hurricane. Very reminiscent now of those dark days of the early summer of 1940, of course, when the country was really under pressure. The fighter in abundance at the time was the Hurricane, a very strong aircraft indeed, but not at the same speed and charisma as the fabulous Spitfire. We'll see these now for a few minutes in various pairs formations before each one individually gets a chance to show itself off. Here they now break apart. We'll get the opportunity to savour the specialities of each individual aircraft. Hurry coming round from the right-hand side. Spitz just repositioning for its final. For the first pass, and then they'll be coming back together. Your eyes field now directly out in front of you. We welcome probably the most charismatic fighter aircraft ever built, produced in greater numbers than any other British combat aircraft before or since the war. A remarkable 20,341 Spitfires were built in 22 different variants. The aircraft remained in production for 12 years. Prototype's maiden flight took place in March 1936 and Mark I Spitfires entered service with number 19 Squadron in August 1938. Very sadly, its creative designer and of course supported by an amazing team that R.J. Mitchell died in 1937, far too early to therefore see the outrageous success this machine had during the course of the Second World War. Aircraft flying today are Mark 5B. It flew 143 operational missions in a remarkable wartime career that spanned almost 3 years on operations. Initially allocated to 222 Squadron and the Tau Squadron to North Weald in August 1941, the aircraft was damaged during forced landing at Lipney within days of arrival. But after repair, it was reallocated to 130 Squadron at Perranporth in Cornwall, flying convoy protection patrols and escorting daylight bombing raids. The development potential of the original design allowed the Spitfire to establish and then maintain the air superiority so vital to the defence of Britain. Spitfires fought in every operational theatre of the war and remained in Royal Air Force frontline service right up until 1954. At the end of its development, the Spitfire carried an engine producing more than twice the power of the original, maximum takeoff weight and wave time had more than doubled, its firepower had increased by a factor of 5, and its maximum speed increased by a third, all in essentially the same aircraft. Flown today by the Squadron's Operations Officer, by Lieutenant Andy Chris, probably has the most enviable job in the Royal Air Force. You may recall he first performed here 10 years ago in one of the Tutor training aircraft, the small Grob Tutor, still in use today, but before that he was a Harrier pilot. Now, after years of display flying and also training and testing, other instructors in the Royal Air Force has had the opportunity, one of only 2 full-time members of the Royal Air Force running the Battle of Britain. Memorial flight. Classic rules of fighting, of course, in the air in the Battle of Britain were laid down by the South African Adolf Sailor Mallon. Wait until you see the whites of his eyes. Fire short bursts of 1 to 2 seconds, but only when your sights are definitely on. Remember, height gives you the initiative. Always turn and face the attack. And never fly straight and level for more than 30 seconds in the combat area. With his final turn now, keep your eyes peeled both left and right, as Spitfire will be replaced by the fabulous and trustworthy Hurricane, but they will be back together at the end. Hurricane calls that familiar sign of tally, which means he can see him, so the 2 will swap over in the middle. We'll get a victory roll, I'm sure, for Spitfire on the way past. And there, what a beautiful sight is prepared her inside. One of the classic fighters of all time, designed and built for war, the Hurricane was at the forefront of Britain's defences in 1940. Played a major part in achieving the victory of 1945. Sidney Cam was the man behind this immense work for it in 1934. The prototype made its maiden flight in November 1935, and deliveries to the Royal Air Force commenced just before Christmas 1937. deliveries were made to 111 Squadron at Norfolk just 8 months ahead of the Spitfire. It was the Hurricane who was the first British monoplane 8-gun fighter, the first Royal Air Force aircraft to achieve 300 miles an hour level flight. It was also the first production fighter with a retractable main undercarriage. The Hurricanes, though, were fielded in greater numbers than the Spitfires, and unsurprisingly, therefore, the Hurricanes achieved the greater proportion of combat kills during the battle. A total of 14,533 Hurricanes were built, and the aircraft served operationally on every day throughout hostilities. And at the end of the war, in 1945, Hurricanes were still in the front line, helping to ensure final victory in the Far East. With just a few minutes to go, it's worth noting this particular Hurricane, Mark 2C and a 363, was built at the Hawker factory in Langley near Slough. It first flew in January 1944. Believed to be the last Hurricane to enter service with the Royal Air Force, serving initially the 63 Squadron at Turnhouse, before then going on to 309, the Polish Squadron at Dresden. Here, a final victory roll. Mark Sundgren, he's flying this aircraft today, a volunteer pilot for the Battle British flight. Total number of airmen he took part was 2,353. 574 of them were not even British. The number killed, 544. The average age of the pilots was just 22, and the average life expectancy, just 4 weeks. The length of the battle, 114 days. Well, no display is complete. Sadly, they're unable to give us any more flying today, but we will, of course, see more of them during the course of the weekend. But I think you'll agree, a very, very poignant moment and an opportunity to commemorate those brave young men. Of course, many of them never to return to our shores at all. And I know there have been many families who've had veterans involved along this coastline. And they do a fantastic job. Just two, as I say, just two permanent members of the Royal Air Force running the flight. A whole lot of volunteers, and of course they do a tremendous job putting in as many targets as is possible throughout the course of your average weekend. Well, a wonderful moment and a highlight of this afternoon. Still to come, of course, we've got the Brighton Jet team. They'll be joining us about 5 o'clock this afternoon. The sound of Blake Slap coming from the Chinook team, and I've already been given my orange wavy hand. And we don't have contact with Sally B at the moment. We're expecting her any minute to come online. And of course, the Strike Master Perry gave the most delightful display to us yesterday. So an awful lot going on. Don't forget, during the break, time to go and investigate the rest of the territory around the air display area, and of course down in the lower gardens with lots of activities for the family down there. Stevie, well, it's not Stevie, it's Stevie's Wonder Band on this evening. Lots of his music, of course, will be kicking off right after the night air, around about 8:30 this evening. And then, of course, culminating this evening at 10 o'clock with a big firework display off the end of Bournemouth Airshow. But I think I hear the air traffic controllers now connecting up with Sunny B. So an opportunity, again, for another different form of commemoration. A very, very important aircraft this. And absolutely key and significant and wonderful that we have it flying here in Britain to commemorate the rest of the bomber boys, but in this case, the American contribution to the Second World War. Just a reminder, please, general rules around the site. No swimming beyond the yellow buoys. I've been looking out there and you've all been doing a brilliant job, so thank you very much for that. The same with the boats, stick to the maritime exclusion zone that has been delineated out there. And of course, anything else of any concern that may come up during the course of the afternoon, please just speak to any of the stewards or policemen around the site. Sun still strong, remember that, despite the very cool breeze blowing. Keep look after the children, went to lots of hats, sunscreen, and of course plenty of food for that as well. And thank you again for not unpacking your drones and kites, but off to the left-hand side now. We have Charlie B about to join us and to tell you all about that, my other wingman. He's also called Andy.
Thank you, George. Very kind of you once again. So, ladies and gentlemen, now, I think a few of us now are starting to pick up the inimitable shape of the world famous C-17, known affectionately by her crew as the Fortress, known by us, you, me, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Sally B, from your left-hand side now, look to your left now. That shape of the high fin, the wide wings, the four engines running in from our left-hand side now. The living memorial to the United States Air Force, the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, Sally B. Ladies and gentlemen, that wonderful roar of those engines as this aircraft, this living memorial, this 300 mile an hour, 25-ton war memorial flies past us here at Bournemouth Air Festival. A regular visitor, a regular flyer throughout the UK and Europe, and a world-famous film star, having flown in the David Putnam film, the B-17 Memphis Belle. So, ladies and gentlemen, this aircraft, originally built out in California, just missed the war itself. It's been flying since the war, since 1945, originally flying the United States Air Force, then used for training with the United States Air Force, then transferred to France, where it was used for mapping, and bought by Ted White. That's where her story with us begins in 1975. She started to fly as a new name of the Sally B. So I think just there, if you look underneath, flying that broad wingspan, look underneath, what they is just open there. Perhaps some of you with exceptional camera lenses and binoculars might be able to see some names there. You see, written on the aircraft as part of the 6,500 strong supporters club, B-17B Sally B is kept completely in the air by contributions and donations. The charity, Tiny Civilian Run America, kept in the air through love, volunteers, and your donations. Aircraft forward by Ted White, been flying ever since. Sadly, Ted White died, and his partner, Ellie Sallingbow, took over the running of this wonderful charitable aircraft. He runs it, and it's the supporters that keep the aircraft flying. So beautiful new now turning above us now. Again, the bomb door is open again, looking underneath. See where all the bombs, that warload is. The aircraft was capable of carrying some 6,000 pound bombs. A 2,000 mile range with its full warload. The aircraft has 4 1,200 horsepower Wright Cyclone turbo supercharged radial engines. The crew would have been involved in every aspect of flying aircraft, and in particular, its formidable self-defense capability of some 30 surrounding engines. in 8th position. All crew organised in the defence of this aircraft. Indeed, the aircraft, its strength was the United States Air Force, a tactical strength of flying in formation, albeit in daylight, over Nazi Germany, flying in formation, mutually substituting each other with that formidable offensive and defensive array of machine guns. If you would wish to support Sally B, go to www.sallyb.org.uk. You too, for 1 year, have your name inscribed on the side of the aircraft. Please, if you already have, see your name on the side of the aircraft. So this aircraft is traditionally it commemorates the sacrifice of some 25,000 US men that volunteered to come over to the United States and fly with the United States Air Force, to volunteer to defend and protect our democracy, working hand in glove with the Royal Air Force and Bomber Command, B-17 Flying Fortresses, as I said. Known as Flying Fortresses by her crews, her ability to take an immense amount of punishment and return her crews safely to home at her legendary status. The crews suffered incredible losses, some 25,000 lost, some just over 50,000. Indeed, in Bomber Command alone, 125,000 crews took part, some 55,573 lost their lives. A terrible sacrifice, wrenching. Each year, the aircraft solemnly and beautifully is flown. It's flown by Roger Mills today. Him and his team of flyers. Roger Mills has been flying the aircraft for ages now. Over 16,000 hours of flying light and heavy aircraft. Incredibly experienced aviation. Commercial pilot. Started in the RAF, left the RAF, joined commercial aviation, flying all sorts of aircraft throughout his life. And he considers it a real honour to be flying this beautiful aircraft. Today, got a heavy fuel load, quite sluggish and slow to manoeuvre, but beautiful to fly. One of the very first electric aircraft designed by Boeing. The next one, of course, being, of course, the Dreamliner, the 787. This aircraft had light controls and indeed had a special formation flying joystick that allowed the pilot to keep formation without having to use the heavy flying controls, often doing heavy attacks, defending against attack and attacking flight. So this aircraft has been used in film work. Some of the money raised has been allowed the volunteers and engineers to repair the aircraft, place the gun turrets. And indeed, I think that one of the engineers today actually was involved in the film. Indeed, he's firing some 13,000 rounds of ammunition during the making of the film. That's itself, the film allowing them to return, repair, put in new gun turrets, get the aircraft to tip-top flying condition, so that it can continue to fly its role as the United States Air Force Memorial. Each year, it flies solemnly over the Mattingly Military Cemetery, near Cambridge, to honour the United States all in heaven. So towards the end of each display, the crew will inject some diesel and fly what's called missing engine or missing man formation, where they will just solemnly and put on some white smoke to show they are and honour those lost US airmen. The privilege, as Sally has said, Ellie has said, the privilege for her to be able to operate this aircraft to honour US fallen, those who sacrificed their lives for our freedom and democracy today. All those years ago, this aircraft, and ever since,
It's been flying since 1982 as the United States 8th Air Force Memorial. It's been flying and honouring those United States Air Force personnel. So ladies and gentlemen, take a moment, a pause of thought for our colleagues across the water, for those fallen in years past, fought for our safety, our democracy that we all enjoy today. Ladies and gentlemen, Sally B. Well, thank you very much, Andy, for leading us through that. Standing, of course, a very, very important aircraft, Europe's only airworthy Boeing 17G. And as Andy said, please do lend your support. Just go to sallyb.org.uk to help with the supporters club. I know that Ellie will be very pleased. And Sally B, of course, brought to you by the Hotel Miramar. So thanks very much, guys, for that. Absolutely outstandingly kind of you. But I hear two other jets already checking in for their next performance, and we're going to see something very different now. The sound of jets also, of course, synonymous with the sound of freedom, as they used to say. An outfit called the 2nd Tactical Allied Tactical Air Force that was part of the NATO establishment in the Cold War period. Well, action really going well, weather superb. I hope you're enjoying it down there, and we certainly are up here in our position on the east overcliff, looking out over to a myriad number of boats, as well as literally thousands of people having a great day on the beach as well. So, real pleasure to have you along joining us today. We hope you'll stick around the whole weekend. There's an enormous number of activities to be involved in, and we hope that you'll make the most of them all. Please welcome now the Strike Master pair. Got here an interesting pair of aircraft. They're based and operated by a gentleman called Mark Petrie, the top of those current Royal Air Force pilots, and operating out of Harden in North Wales under the banner of the North Wales Military Aviation Services and the Strike Master Flying Club. He's worked really hard at renovating these aircraft and bringing them back to life. He's had a very, very interesting story indeed. But to really get to know the story, you have to go back even further, because these aircraft are very much the GTI end, the sharp end of a long, long range of aircraft called jet bombers. And that was a British jet power trainer aircraft used by the Air Force from 1955 through to 1993. It was also hugely successful as an export version. A massive total of 741 were made altogether. And it was designed to replace the old Percival Provost basic trainer in the mid-50s. The first jet itself taking sky in June 1964. So what you're seeing here, Mark and his wingman Ollie suckling together a really dynamic sequence to show off the beautiful aircraft, and I think you'll agree then stunning livery, and also linked with a few other graceful manoeuvres and some high energy aerobatics as well. They've got a wide speed range, these aircraft, from as slow as 100 knots right up to 400 knots. And during the course of this, of course, the running the customary G, around about 5.5 in these machines, and a few tight turns to as long as alongside a few rolls with some barrel rolls as well. So lots to look forward to during the course of this. The leader, Captain Mark Petrie, ex-fast jet pilot for Royal Air Force, used to be on 111 Squadron flying Phantoms, and was at Coningsby on the Tornado F2 and 3, but now flies a Boeing 787 for British Airways. Alongside him, Ollie, also serving officer, currently about to qualify as a purified T2 horse trainer. Both these aircraft Omani colours, and there's a unique story to each of them. Certainly a fascinating one to the Mark HCA, number 45, the SOA, the Sultan of Oman's Air Force. But the Mark 80A was in service with the Royal Saudi Air Force for many, many years. But it was a bit of a hybrid because the wings themselves did serve in the Royal Air Force of Oman. So an extraordinary mixture. And we hear Mark calling the split. That's a superb photo of opportunity, and the sun glinting beautifully off those delightful first flight despite it, it's a derivative, a compact derivative of the KT Mark 5. Itself around the world comes together with an armored cockpit, so single monocoque Rolls Royce fighter engine, slightly uprated from the earlier ones, of course, although any pilots like myself who train on the Mark III refer to them as constant noise variable speed, and it is an extraordinary thing. But nonetheless, very long and rich display. Mark last night about his carousels, and he said if you can get that first cut right, then the rest of it just goes on. Well, let's see how they do all the way around. Of course, they use up a bit more side and the modern jets. They're not as same aerodynamic designs as modern fast-jet aircraft, and of course they don't have the power-to-weight ratio that modern ones do as well. They use up a little bit more airspace. Here they are pulling that 4-5-ish G, and they come around in the tight there. It's the Sudan story that fits in with one of these aircraft quite neatly, because when the Sultan of Oman's Air Force damaged one of their aircraft, they were looking for a spare, and meanwhile bringing up here the Sudanese hit by an army target, and although Ecuador was a number of the targets, that's coming up in the aerospace so they agreed to put a spare together to replace the damaged one in arm, and that's then effectively became number 425, the youngest strike master in the world, and was delivered to Oman in the summer of 1986. First saw service with one squadron at what was then the Royal Air Force of Oman, Madeira, as it did not yet been fully absorbed into the Omani Air Force itself. Remained in service right through until decommissioning in 1999. Another aircraft, also owned by Mark, and owned by Ollie, started life as instructor number 1120 for the Royal Saudi Air Force. And I mentioned the wings of this aircraft actually saw service in the Royal Air Force of Oman. And the colour scheme is that of 417 Sultan of Oman's Air Force from the 1972 era. Back now in their familiar pairs formation. And You can hear the dulcet tones of Mark there calling for small cone. And of course, emission of smoke, I've already mentioned, not just for aesthetics, but also as a safety indicator. They will be finishing their routine in spectacular fashion with a climb up into the heights of Wild Blue yonder, as high as they can go. Stand by now. And again, Ollie there for doing a very, very splendid display indeed. Well, coming up very, very shortly, we've got hashtag BladeSlap, and we're just now about to hand over to their commentator. But of course, don't forget, after that, we've got marvellous jets from Breitling, all the way from Dijon in France. Quick reminder that also during the short gap we've got for tea and sandwiches between the two events, there is some preliminary music going on, of course, down at the Bournemouth stage. Later on, we've got the Stevie Wonder Band, but at 6:30, Danny Adams will be down on the Bournemouth stage. So there's something, and then at 6:30, don't forget, if you're interested in the lower gardens, the Royal Marines Unarmed Combat demonstration. But right now, I've got the nod from the Royal Air Force Odeon team, and to tell us all about this fantastic machine, please welcome Flight Lieutenant Henry Fuller.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 2018 Royal Air Force Chinook display here at Bournemouth.